It is recording. So this is what month is it? The first business meeting in May for the LP Mises Caucus of Ohio. I'm Drake, as always, the guy hosting stuff. We're actually having two business meetings this month because it is, oh, man, my nose is really itchy. It is incredibly busy with just obviously all the other parties, other states having their conventions, and people want to know, hey, how do conventions work? How do conferences work? What is going on? Screaming, etc. That's how I always imagine people ask me questions. They start screaming constantly. So I just wanted to kind of have a meeting to go over this. Sorry, I just really itchy there. I promise I'm not doing cocaine. Probably. If I am, I don't know about it. So the kind of what is the Mises Caucus doing within the party in terms of intra-party politics? Because that is the questions people have. I'm going to go into a bit of it, and then just how kind of Ohio works generally. Let's see where to start. So first thing to start with is the libertarian, the Ohio. Which part as far to start? I guess I'll start with the Ohio Conference happening this year. So every other year, the LP of Ohio has a convention or a conference. This year is a conference. The difference between a convention and a conference is a convention is where business happens. So votes happen, rules change, etc. A conference is just fundraising and socializing. Does everyone get that? Unmute and talk to me. I feel lonely without someone. I normally have a guest.
And this month is a conference.
This year is a conference, yes.
So this will be the socializing one.
Yes, this is
for
socializing and fundraising. I have purchased the table for the Mises Caucus of Ohio. I will be tabling at it. I don't know what I'm selling, although actually talking to our earlier discussion, listening to that thing about Daniel Shaver's wife, I'm actually planning to donate. I was originally going to donate all proceeds from it to new affiliates in Ohio. I'm actually going to donate to her court case now, because that is God. Yeah, nice. Cops. I'm just not going to say the things I said earlier about them, because now this is going to be posted on YouTube and I don't want them to come knocking on my door. But they were not friendly to the cops, my earlier comments, I'll say that. But yeah, so actually I will say, if someone is interested, I would, here, let me pull up.
I'll be there, so you can go and put me down for being there. I'll help you table it.
Sweet. Yeah, I just need to figure out what I'm gonna sell. So you're supposed
do you have the date off the top of your head?
I have the. I'm gonna start sharing my screen now. Actually, screen 2. So events, conference. August 20th through 22nd. It is for the whole weekend. And I will say it's not cheap. So I would love to have people attend. We are part of the party. This money goes back to the party. It is also nice to just meet people, not through the internet, because then it is a much nicer conversation. But I also don't want to push anyone into doing something that is expensive.
Can confirm, usually when you meet people in person, they're usually pretty friendly.
Oh yeah.
When you're not just arguing through a screen.
Yep. And from what I hear, it is quite a party. People get toasty and might have spontaneous karaoke. There's some talk about they're gonna have some speakers, I know, including Spike.
Oh, nice.
I think that they were talking about doing one of those murder mystery themed dinners. Apparently, you can just host those places. I don't know. They'll do something. It should be fun. And then these are the people that you're gonna be working with to get involved, so it's worth knowing them. Because the thing to remember is the Mises Caucus is here to improve the party, We're not here to entirely replace the party. And even in places that have had a kind of changing of the guard involving the Mises Caucus, because there's been such a big disagreement, it's generally been only a few seats changing hands. Like I know California and places like that, it's still like, yeah, no, the Mises Caucus is kind of the largest caucus there now, but still there are lots of people that are not in the Mises Caucus that are still running things, and that is like what we would have. Like we're not. Nevada is a weird exception because things were so messed up and all the embezzlement and everything. But I'm not going to go into that. But thing I wanted to say really fast first was if wherever this link is, there it is. If someone is interested, would highly recommend giving to this GoFundMe for the wife Daniel Shaver, because it is just a very important cause, especially because she's hopefully about to find success. It's always the goal.
They've raised a lot of money so far. That's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
but the problem is, let's see, they raised a lot of money, but this has been ongoing for 6 years now.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so they
So,
raised a lot of money,
Not a lot.
and now they're living out of like a bus because literally the strategy of the government has been delay the case long enough that they run out of money and drop it. Like literally, like there was this whole thing where the police department paid for one of the people to declare bankruptcy. Like they had their lawyers declare bankruptcy for them specifically because for civil cases, declaring bankruptcy pushes back the case by like 2 years and stuff like that. So yeah,
Oh
it's
my goodness.
Fucked up, dude.
yeah, but she's been she apparently started a TikTok and it started growing, and then Thaddeus Russell had her on recently, so you can see starting at 5 hours ago when the podcast dropped, lots of people have been sending money in, so that's really good. And I am planning on reaching out to any other libertarians to be like, hey, talk about her, push it, because it's worth doing. But that is the Libertarian Party conference this year. So that is the only thing this year, so there's not really something this year that you can make a ton of the changes that people talk about. There's not going to be any elections. There's not any like intra-party elections. There's not going to be any places where we vote to change executive committees or anything. None of that's happening this year. Other states it is. For us, it isn't. All clear.
All clear.
Okay, good. With that said, things that you do this year will have a lot of effect on how things work going forward and kind of you putting you in a position for things to happen the next year. So I'll start with the big one, which would be the National Convention. National Convention, Reno, Nevada in 2022.
Oh yeah.
That will be the big one. So for many states, the way that it works is you have the state convention first, and in the state convention, you elect the delegates to go to the national convention. Right? You've all heard of this, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that is not at all true for Ohio. It's a completely different system, nothing to do with that. And Ohio actually has a fair bit of delegates. We have 46 generally, which considering there's 1,000 delegates, give or take, puts us at solid 5%, which considering that would be 1 out of 20. There's 50 states, so we're like one of the larger states, but not.
I think we have one of the largest delegations in the country, actually.
Yeah, we're on the larger side, but we're not like the size of like a California or Texas or something. We're on the larger. But then the interesting thing is that because we use a different system, you actually get a pretty split delegation. A lot of times with other states, because it's all decided by the vote, whatever side has the majority gets every delegate. In Ohio, that does not happen. So here's the way that delegates work for Ohio. Anyone who is a LP member can go on and submit an interest form saying, I want to be a delegate to the National Convention for Ohio whenever they open up their submission thing, which I don't know when that happens. Right? That makes sense so far. You go online, you submit, I want to be a delegate.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go down this list. Delegation chair gets a spot. Member of the state central committees get spots by order of submitting. So like if you submit first, then you go first, second, so on all the way down. And obviously if they'll like go back and say, hey, do you still want to go? And if someone says no, then I'll drop down the next person on the list. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And it does that all the way down. Then state executive committee, any LP incumbent. So if you actually are in office as libertarian, any deputy positions for the state executive committee. So the thing is, for the state executive committee, there's all the appointed positions or the elected positions, but then there are a bunch of like chairs under them that do work for them, but are not elected. So those are those positions. Anyone in a county central committee, anyone in a county executive committee. So this is if you are starting a new county affiliate, then you have one of these positions, you are essentially guaranteed a spot as a delegate if you apply for it. Then county delegate coordinators, candidates for office. That's a few rounds of candidates for office. And then members of any management or committees to the party or affiliated counties. So that is kind of the lower down, someone helping out but at a lower level. And then any generic LP members in Ohio. And I know that last year, a number of people, and in most years, number of people get spots who are just random LP members in Ohio. So historically, we have always gotten to this, but the list has always been full. Ohio generally sends a full delegation plus a large set of alternates. We have a lot of people that want to go. So especially if on the people that historically have gone, we now add a bunch of interested Mises Caucus people. This will get pushed up a couple rounds, and there is a decent chance that only people that are a chair of a county of some kind will actually be able to go. Does that make sense? Is there any questions about this?
Yeah, so it sounds like I wasn't really familiar with the whole delegation process. It sounds like it's not as easy to just, oh, hey, I want to be a delegate, and then next month you're going.
No, it
kind of is.
Easier, harder. So in other states, you'd actually have to show up to the state convention and convince people, and they would have to vote for you. So in a lot of states, it was actually really difficult to become a delegate unless you were part of a big group that supported you. In Ohio, it was literally click random form, submit, wait 4 months, then you're in. Like nothing. But the thing is, as there are more people applying for it, it will get more difficult. As there are more people applying for it, it will be, oh, you have to apply super early, or you have to be a chairperson.
You might not know the answer to this, but has like party membership as a whole been going up in the state of Ohio?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because Ohio's so weird. And the thing is, I know that county affiliates have been growing massively.
Yeah, they've been doing like training sessions on a regular basis. Like the amount of counties, it's insane. Actually, think like Sandusky County actually is working on getting one now. So,
well, I mean that's because of the whole rule change. Where literally before there were 5 counties out of the 88, and now I think we have like 18 and another 20 in the pipeline.
And what is it? How is it? I can't remember. You guys explained it to me at one point, but I'm sure everyone else would like to know. Like after we hit so many counties, there's something that happens on a state level. Helen was in here and explained it. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank on this.
I don't know what you're talking. Are you talking about like for things within the Ohio party, or what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be the next part that I'll get to.
Okay.
But first, I just want to make sure, is everyone totally clear? So anytime that people are talking about national stuff, so this is Andrew McCardle being chair, this is the president or VP nomination. This is any of that national level stuff that is all decided by the 1,000 delegates at the national convention. And this is the process by which Ohio sends delegates to the national convention. So, and if you want to go, which you probably do, let's see. It is going to be in Reno, Nevada in 2022.
Weed's legal in Nevada if that's an incentive. You can go to a dispensary and buy weed there. You don't have to smuggle it through TSA.
It will be from May 26th to May 29th, and you will probably actually want to get there early on that Thursday. And I will say I went to the last one, and even with COVID going on, it was still a great time with lots of fun. Like, would highly recommend it. There will be you'll have to buy a flight. I assume no one's carpooling to Nevada. You have to get a hotel. Although, if you're going with a caucus and kind of supported by that caucus, there are occasions where you can kind of get around that. Like, I know that the Mises Caucus got a bunch of 12-person Airbnbs, and something like that will probably happen again, just because, people want people that vote in their way. And that is how you get delegates, because not all delegates can afford to fly and put themselves up for 4 days, which is what it is. And some people find that dirty, but that is actually just standard. Like, because people are like, oh my goodness, Gary Johnson bribed people to go out and vote for him. It's like, no, this is standard. This always happens every year. It's how the system works.
Mutual aid.
Yeah, I mean, it's how the system works. I'm not going to say if it's good or bad. I'm just going to say it's how it works. Other questions about the national convention? Anything you want to know? Anything unclear?
I don't think so. I'll probably have questions at some point, but I might hit you up offline.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you have questions, now is the time to. I'm recording this. This will be sent out to other people also. It is recording, right? I just want to double check that really fast. Stop sharing for a second. Yeah, okay, it is recording. That's one time I ran a debate and I wasn't recording it properly, and it sucked. And I won the debate too, as I'm privatizing the cops, and I mopped the floor, and then it was not recorded.
Who did you debate?
Past president of Young Americans for Liberty and University of Cincinnati, named Garrett, who is a neat guy, but he is a Liberty Republican. And I was the president before him, and we often debated many things. And they said, you know what, you just need to pick one topic, have an actual formal debate to hash it out. And we did well, but it will be lost forever to the ether. But I learned a lot preparing for it, so it's not a loss. So now moving on to the next step. So that is the national LP. Now we're going to come down to the states. So, or to Ohio specifically, obviously. So this is really complicated. So I'm going to try to do my best.
Congressional, isn't it?
Huh?
Congressional, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's more than that. There's a lot of complications.
Yeah. One less.
Okay, so I'll start with the convention. So in 2022, there will be a convention for the Ohio LP. At that convention, business will be done. You will actually be able to vote on changing bylaws and whatever. That makes sense, right?
Can I interrupt really quick? Is Nate Rockwell, that's not a relation to Lou, is it?
I don't believe so.
Okay, they kind of look similar, but I was just curious.
I mean, if nothing else, it'd be a very big age difference. So it might be like a grandson or something. Okay, but yeah, none that I know of. So here's the thing about the difference between the Ohio convention and most conventions. One of the biggest things that happens at most party conventions is electing the chair and the executive board, right? That is what just happened in Nevada, is they had the convention. At the convention, the people showed up and they did all this voting to elect people. That does not happen in Ohio. All of the elections for the chair and stuff happens before the convention. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, good. At the convention, what you can do is you can revise bylaws, revise rules, revise the LP constitution, and that is important. And there will actually be a major change happening in that convention. And that actually relates to the next step. So now to back up one more step. I'm sorry, I know this is really confusing. So here is the important part is the people that really run the LP is the executive committee, right? They are the people that handle day-to-day stuff, that choose who's in charge of social media, who doesn't become county affiliates, all that stuff. It all comes from the executive committee at the state level. They are in charge of the state party. The way Ohio works is that the state executive committee is elected by the state central committee. The state central committee in Ohio has 2 people from each congressional district in Ohio. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And those people get together, I think, 4 times a year. And one of those 4 times they sit down and elect the executive committee of Ohio. So that is really the big thing that matters. The thing about it is actually like a third of the seats for that are vacant, but it is dependent on where you live. For example, let's see, District 6 is vacant because it's a bunch of very rural area. And we just don't have anyone living there who wants to run for the spot. With that said, actually running for it is incredibly easy. It's like I think 5-10 lines to fill out, just like name, address, do you want to do it, whatever else. And it was a bit easier this when the LP was on a ballot. Now that it's not, the process will be a little bit different. I believe that there will be like a meeting and almost like what's it called when they do that thing what's it called for the primary in like New Hampshire or like South Carolina? Is that called caucuses also?
That's what they call it in Iowa. I don't know about the other 2 states.
Yeah, so it's similar to that process. Everyone in the state kind of gets together and does their voting and nomination as like a group, is my understanding of it. But that'll only come up when we get closer to it. For right now, it doesn't really matter. But so that is something where if we want to have an effect on the state party, that is one, spaces that should be filled. That makes the party look better. If they are filled, we look more serious. Like if we can actually put together 32 people for an important position. And 2, it's what gives us a say on who is in the executive committee. Because especially this last, there was a special election in the beginning of this year where this board changed a lot. And it's pretty much almost universally agreed it changed a lot for the better. That's kind of one of the issues with of the spots in Ohio where there were some people that had been around for a very long time that kind of cared more about the LP as a social club than as an organization to do liberty. That was kind of the problem, is both in the central committee and some people that previously in the executive committee that would stonewall work a bit, and things now run a lot better. So with that said, this will be the main thing for people to run for come 22. Does that make sense? I will be very strongly pushing this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Good. Then I also might need to also find some people that are willing to help out in the executive committee and take over some spots. And then here's the other thing. Going forward, there is talk about reforming the central committee to work differently. So you don't have someone that's just been on the central committee for 15 years because no one runs against them and they don't really do any work. I'm not at liberty to say how the reform would work exactly yet because I don't know how public it's supposed to be. But let's just say if you are involved in a leadership position in your county, you will have a much better spot of having influence on the new central committee.
Mhm.
Clear as mud, right? So
Clear as can be.
clear as can be. So actually, like, don't just sit on the sidelines, actually run for chair and do stuff. And I guess actually, Brian, were you the one that was asking me about some people in your area that wanted to start doing Mises Caucus affiliates in other county, or is that a different Brian?
Me or is there another Brian in there?
Sorry, say it again.
Is there another Brian in there? I'm listening as
You're the only.
I got home from.
So I
Yeah,
wasn't.
no, I live in Logan County, so it probably wasn't me.
Okay, no, I get emails from people that want to help out, and I try to set up phone calls, and I just miss my phone calls.
Okay.
Okay. But so it is really important for us to have people helping set up the counties, not just for some evil nefarious Mises Caucus purpose, but because it is how you make the party better and more effective. But when you do it, like, take a leadership role, even if you're not doing much yet, and it will help in the long term and also just help get shit done. And then but to also that bylaw change to kind of shift around the central committee is one that I am strongly in favor of. And that is kind of while we will want to have a lot of people showing up to the convention in 2022 at the state level. So that was a lot. Let me try to run back through it again. So conference this year, fundraising only, no business will be done. But socializing still matters, so I will be there. Next year, 3 things that matter. One is central committee. Yeah, so the central committee, you will need to run for those spots, so then we have a say in the executive committee. 2, showing up to the state conference, because showing up to the state conference is how we will change the rules to make them run better for the future in terms of the central committee. 3, going to the national convention, because that is where the national shit happens. And last time Ohio had, I want to say, maybe a 26 Prags, 10 Audacious Caucus, 10 Mises Caucus, something like that breakdown. Remember, Lauren, was that about it when we had the original vote for Jacob, Vermin, and other people? I think there was about like 10 Jacob, 10 Vermin, and everyone else went to someone else. And then all coalesced on Jorgensen.
Something like that. Yeah. It was, yeah, I think you're right.
It was something.
I'd have to look into it,
Yeah,
to be
something in that
honest.
ballpark. And considering that Ohio is one of the bigger delegations, like if we got 10 more delegates to the Mises Caucus, that is literally a 1% change in the vote. And like, how few percent did Spike win his vote by? Like 2%. And Jacob only lost by like Joe only lost by a similar like 2 or 3%. So if we have 10 more delegates, that will be a 1% change in the vote, and very significant. And then, but that is all, like I said, that is all coming next year. This year, you cannot vote to change anything because Ohio does not have a conference every year like other states. What you can do this year, once again, is get involved, especially with being a chairperson in a county committee. Other stuff that you want to do, I fully support it. Go for it. Anything positive is positive. I'm not here to just like play politics. I'm here to like spread liberty. So if you are doing things that make a change, I prefer that. But if you're planning on doing anything involved with the Libertarian Party, try to pick up a title while you do it, because it will make it easier for you to be a national delegate.
Would you like to help me get a secessionist plank put in the Ohio in the Libertarian Party?
I'm Not again. I'd have to read it first, but I generally favor secession plan.
The sovereignty of Ohio as a nation.
Can it just be 3 words like "we will secede"?
I'll have to read it first. And I might.
Ohio nationalism is what I call it.
I'll run it by Michael Heist and see if he's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get Pete Quinones in here and he'll help us get it pushed.
Yeah,
We'll
let
get
me just
Shane
run that up the
Hazelton
chain
in
real
here.
quick.
We'll get. I'm bros with Shane. I'll talk to him.
I'm not gonna. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Pete, and I'm not gonna say them on something that's gonna.
Understandable, yeah. He's an interesting guy.
He does many positive things, but there
Mhm.
are also times when I strongly disagree with him. And
I get it.
terms of
Yeah.
messaging, but that is neither here nor there. How clear is all of this? Because I know this is kind of the bread and butter that a lot of people now, especially with the Dave Smith stuff, are saying like, "Hey, we want to show up, when we get shit done, change the party, whatever, whatever." And now, this is literally the steps to do it. People are like, "I want to do things. How do I do it?" This is how you show up within this next year, get a spot in your county committee, and then, and especially also when the central committee thing happens, it is a vote. It is a popularity contest among libertarians. So if you don't interact with the LP near you, you're not going to get a spot. Unless no one else wants a spot, which does happen sometimes. So
Do you have a list of county committees already in existence?
So I can maybe get the list. Helen and what is it? I think Jennifer are working on that, and they actually reached out to me to be like, "Hey, does the Mises Caucus have the list so we can combine a list?" But we do not have a list. They have a list, but
Okay.
they have said so. One second, I'm gonna pull up an email that I sent. Gmail. Is that the right inbox? I have so many Gmails that have 4 inboxes. So one of the volunteer positions that I want to have filled at some point is the what is it called? The delegate or the county coordinator. If you do you all remember that email about what I need help with?
Yes, I think you sent it 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I might actually resend it now that I have some positions filled in. So one of the positions was the county coordinator. If we have a county coordinator, they would actually not be on their own, but they would actually be working with the Ohio LP county people, because they said they would be happy. Like, because the interesting thing is, because of the big change in the executive committee in Ohio, they already are very happy to work with us, which I'm happy about because I want to work with them. So they have said that if we have a county coordinator of some kind, they will be working with the 2 county coordinators already exist. So you will be given a partially filled out list and just work with them to organize stuff. That makes, I don't know if it makes any sense right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we do not have a list. If I asked nicely, I could maybe get a list. But if we have someone that wants to fill this spot, they would for sure get the list because they'd be the one partially making the list. And yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I was just trying to figure out if there was like how I would find out if there's one in my county or if, one would be started.
So if it's your county specifically, send me an email and I will forward it to the right people. Or you
Okay.
can email Helen or Jennifer at lp something something dot something. Let's see if there's a contact us. Or actually, if you just email the generic, the info@lp.org, they will answer you.
Okay.
Yeah. What county are you in?
Me or Drake?
Huh?
Me or Drake?
Oh no, this is Drake asking you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the laptop. I'm in Licking County.
Okay. Let me just look for an email from. I think. You said Licking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it on the list yet. Okay, I don't know. I have a list of some counties that have had stuff set up, but I don't, it's not up to date. So
Okay.
no idea. Other stuff, other questions, please ask away. This is the, there are a lot of people who did not make this meeting because they are just morally bad people, I jest, but they
Did
didn't.
they violate the non-aggression principle by not showing up?
Yes. If you don't show up to something that I host, that is a big violation. And I will tax all your money. But people did not show up. Please ask questions for them because they would like to have their questions answered in this video.
Can you talk a little bit more about what all, if someone gets on the central committee, what all the responsibilities are, what kind of commitment that is?
Okay, yeah. So the central committee meets 4 times a year. I believe it always meets in Columbus because it's central. Although now they are also like you're allowed to meet through virtual. Like they have a computer and stuff set up so someone can like zoom in. And there are 4 meetings a year, and at those meetings you do business a couple hours and then you're done. That's it. So 4 times a year, you have a 2-hour meeting. And at one of those meetings, you elect the executive committee. At the other meetings, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, it seems simple enough.
Yeah, no, it's one of the less arduous. You said Licking County?
Yes.
I have at least one other person in Licking County. I don't know if I have a caucus, but I have a person there. I also
Okay.
looks like you haven't filled out the survey. Make me sad. I don't know why people don't fill out my survey. Okay. Anyone else? Other things you want to know? Just want to speak randomly?
Yeah, I'd like to let everybody know that taxation is theft.
That's
I
a
really,
first
literally
step.
never thought of it like that.
Right? I know. It's
I always assumed taxation was either death or slavery.
So I finally got my physical copy of For New Liberty. So that's my first physical Rothbard book today. But that was the book that started it all for me like 4 years ago when my brother bought the Audible.
Okay. Well, actually, it sounds like we're about done with the informational portion of this. So I'm going to cut it, clip it, post on YouTube so you can come reference it again in a year when it all becomes relevant again. So for anyone watching from home, thank you for watching, and you'll get another video shortly.